We are ending the week in a wonderful way. Thanks for joining us, MLB Central on a Friday. Robert Flores, Mark DeRosa, I'm Lauren Shahadi. We love when our friends stop by. Harrison Bader, the Cardinals. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, thanks for being with us. All your baseball accomplishments aside, D-Ro says top 5 hairstyles in the game. You make the list, and your team agrees. On Twitter recently, the Cardinals tweeted out your top 9 looks. We want you to check them out and tell us which one is your personal favorite.
I remember all those looks. I think the one that stands out the most is probably the one where I'm wearing that purple T-shirt with those ridiculous sunglasses on, and I'm kind of throwing up like a little peace sign. I remember the team was rolling, and it was just really good vibe. So I think the outfit reflects that pretty well.
D-Ro, which one do you like?
I like the one middle top right here. There's a lot. I'm catching a lot of dazed and confused Matthew McConaughey back in the day. You know, Party at the Moon Tower. I'm digging the looks coming in. Are these all coming to the stadium? I'm enamored, Harrison. I got to ask. I'm enamored by you, Jack Flaherty, Jay Flair. Do you guys have a photographer follow you around in the parking lots and get these shots?
Yeah, we actually do. So the MLB goes through that app called Greenfly. So basically, as you're approaching the stadium or getting off the bus or leaving the stadium, there's always a photographer there, and they upload the photos directly to the app. So it just makes the usability super simple, and you can just post it right to your Instagram. So the photos are great. Yeah, me and Flair definitely take advantage of them for sure.
We need that. Once we get back to the studio, we need that.
Yeah, do we want that?
Just stroll in. That's
yeah.
I like.
Look,
I like number 3. I love the number 3 look. Your Twitter profile pic, Harrison, is the back of that glorious head of hair you have. How are you managing the hair during this quarantine, and what advice can you give, say, me, because mine is getting out of control?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Well, I got like a curly type of it was a mohawk at one point, but it's kind of manifested itself, if you will, to more of like a poof. I don't know. I just try and do my best to just realize, that my barber isn't around, so I just have to accept it for what it is and just kind of do my best to roll with it. But I think even worse than the hair is this beard, which I'm getting rid of here pretty soon. So, yeah.
Hey, Harrison, I want to dive into a little baseball. I read an article that was posted March 5th at the Post-Dispatch, St. Louis, and it talked about your approach at the plate, and you felt you needed to calm down. I also read an article where Matt Carpenter's dove into some virtual reality glasses during this quarantine time. And talking about pitch selection, that seems like that would be like kind of an obvious way to work on that. So kind of take me inside what you're doing during this downtime, shelter in place, kind of to help you with pitch selection.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year was just a great example of just having your struggles and allowing those struggles to last longer than they really needed to be. I think a lot of what I went through last year at the plate, just in my second, full season at the major league level, was that I just didn't really look in the mirror enough. I found myself many times throughout the season offensively looking to other players, looking to coaches for answers, when I've come to understand that the best answer you can get are those that you can receive from the mirror. I've taken this time, especially after a little spring training stint, to just really look deep into what I'm trying to do at the plate, understand who I am as a player, and by no means limit myself or put myself in a box and a ceiling over my head, just rather channel my intentions at the plate in a different way. I really do believe I'm an athletic hitter. Anytime I take my mind to the plate with regards to like thinking about, my mechanical swing or any internal cues, you kind of freeze up. A lot of it has to do with just the mental approach of just understanding that I'm a guy who just needs to be a tough out every single time I'm at the plate. I need to put the ball and play hard. I need to put the ball in play far more consistently. And the swings I was taking all of last year really were geared in a different direction, and that's just simply not my game. But I don't shy away from the challenge of continuing to be the best version of myself offensively. I know it's in there. It's just a matter of me bringing it out and being more consistent with it. So this has been a great time for reflection, great time to work on simple things. For when the ball gets rolling here, it's going to happen really quickly. So I'll definitely be ready for it.
I'm sure. Jump in real quick. I'm sure Mike Shiltis told you, man, you ain't got to hit much.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that and that's the biggest thing too, is like, I've heard it from a lot of people, if you just hit 250, you're like, you're a great defender, it's fine. It's like, well, no, 250 isn't good enough for me. I want to be a 300 hitter. I know I could do it. I just need to change my approach. And yeah, of course, you want to maybe cut the plate in half and understand what the guy's doing to you and this and that. But, for the most part, it really is an athletic movement that you have to just be calm and relaxed and confident in your plan right before you step in that box. And if you're not, you're going to get eaten alive. It's not really about pitch selection. If you put your body in a good position, consistently to see the baseball and the ability to swing, you're going to make, those quick decisions athletically and subconsciously. And then when you pair that with a legitimate plan and understanding of what a guy's trying to do to you, then it's off to the races. But it really wasn't about the physical or looking at answers. Everything that I need is right in the mirror, and I'm just ready for the challenge ahead.
That's a great answer, man. Harrison, on Monday on MLB Network, it's Albert Pujols Day. Obviously, you weren't around when he was in St. Louis, but you can speak to the legacy that he still has in St. Louis, and that trip that he made when the Angels came to town. That's certainly something that fans there will always remember. What legacy does he still have there in the city of St. Louis?
It's incredible. He still has his foundation, obviously, which helps a tremendous number of people, which I love and appreciate so much, especially when players, obviously in St. Louis, it's special because players have the ability to touch so many fans and just do so much for them. And it's reciprocated with the love we receive from them. So, when Pujols got to St. Louis, I had no idea what was in store. I knew it was going to be a big deal, but, he really did shut the entire city down. He shut the games down. We saw the ovations that he got, and he had a home run off Dakota Hudson. And I haven't really heard that stadium cheer louder than I did then. And it took me out of the game for a second. It made me realize that, like, nobody's ever bigger than the game, but there's just a different level of respect and appreciation for certain figures in the game, especially when they come back to cities. And Albert rolling back to St. Louis, and in true fashion, just going to work and just putting up numbers. I think it was great, not only for a young player like myself to understand how precious all this is, but also for Albert. He just did so much for that city, and just led those teams along with others to just so many victories and so many positive things. So it was an awesome moment for him, but also for guys like me.
Well, apparently, Harrison, you are becoming pretty darn important in St. Louis as well, especially according to Sonic. Last postseason came up with the Bader Tots. What is in them? Did you try them? Are they delicious?
They absolutely are delicious. They are tater tots, and they have like a little spice to them. They have some cheese on them. Obviously, just a fun little play off the name Bader Tots. But it's really cool. Like I said before, there's just so much love in that city. And in my head, I go out there and I roll around in the mud and grass for 3 hours a day and just have an absolute ball doing it. So the love I receive as a result is just incredible. And the Bader Tots is just a fun little thing that Sonic has done.
Harrison, I wanted to ask you, we had Brent Suter on about 2 weeks ago talking about Milwaukee. I got traded over to St. Louis in 2009, and I was only there for about 2-3 months. I got the corporate apartment right off the highway, and it was to the stadium and back, until we got eliminated from the postseason. What does Harrison Bader do on an off day in St. Louis?
So
take me through something.
Yeah, no doubt. So, obviously I'm from New York City, so it's a little different, going to the Midwest. I've kind of had a tour of the Midwest, which is in many ways drastically different than what I've kind of been brought up in and everything, which is awesome because I'm always seeing, I always want to find, I want to see people, I want to meet people, I want to understand different parts of this country, and the Midwest is no different. So my off days are very, very different than what you might expect. Paul DeYoung and I will go skeet shooting. I have a beautiful crack pump shotgun that we go skeet shooting with. Sometimes we'll go to St. Louis specific restaurants that really kind of dive into a different taste and different cuisine that St. Louis is known for. The season's long. We all know that. So I really do like to hang out. But there are definitely some St. Louis specific activities that I've gotten into that I really wouldn't get otherwise.
Is fried ravioli good, Harrison? Because we have some crazed St. Louis fans in the building, and all they do is talk about fried ravioli, toasted ravioli, rather.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste, in my opinion, but it is very good.
In other words, no.
Yeah, AKA.
In other words, not
Here's
mine.
the token answer.
Yeah, not my go-to, but I have dabbled.
Hey, Harrison, you recently spoke to a undergrad sports management class at Rutgers via a conference call. What was the most important piece of advice that you offered to them?
That's a good question. There were a lot of good questions in there. They were graduate students, so I kind of knew going into it I might, get some pretty complex questions. But I think the number one thing was that that stuck with me the most was a girl asked me if I didn't physically play baseball, if I wasn't good at baseball, would I see myself in the game? And that was a really interesting question because, what do I hang on to so much about baseball? And without a doubt, it's the physical side. Going out there, everything in preparation, the actual, the art of playing the game correctly and winning games. That's what I love the most. So my answer to her was, I don't know. But it brought me back to we talked a lot about passion and understanding, the willingness of an athlete to kind of leave everything aside to just chase something, to chase this dream, and there were plenty of decisions where I put academics aside. And I definitely went out on a limb, and my parents did as well, to allow me and position me to follow my dream. And these students all, which were fascinating to me, they all loved the game, if not more than me, just as much, or they loved, the side of sports. And it was awesome because if I didn't have my physical connection to the game, I don't know if I'd play baseball. I don't know if I would be in the game. I don't know if I'd be on the front office side or whatever, but a lot of these students, they have a different route and a different passion about the game that drives them. So it was really cool to connect with these students on a different side, because at the end of the day, when a team wins a World Series, in my opinion, it's not the 25 guys on that roster that win that World Series. It's the management, it's the front office, it's the scouts that got those players there. Or, there's some players who get traded right before, the deadline, and then they're ultimately a big playoff piece. And there's talent and there's scouts that go into it. So it really is a team effort. So being a part of a conversation with everybody on not the playing side was really cool for me.
You mentioned interesting questions, Harrison. I have one for you. Who is your favorite University of Florida alum?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Danny Work.
I'm not going to say Tim Tebow, as everybody would say. He's pretty well known and pretty well loved. So I'll go a different route.
Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith was a good one.
Good one.
I think my favorite alum.
It's a trick question, Harrison.
I should have brushed up more.
It's Lauren.
I should have brushed up more on my Florida Gator alumni history.
I went there like 800 years before you, Tim Tebow. Forget it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you went to the University of Florida.
Go Gators.
Yeah, like a really long time
whatever,
ago.
Robert.
Never left his dorm room.
There's some good spots. Was Cantina around?
Say it again.
101 Cantina, was that around?
No. The swamp.
Was Senor Frogs there?
I was there when Spurrier was there.
When Spurrier was there? Okay, yeah. All right.
Long ago.
Lauren, he's trying to ask if you know of bars in the Gainesville area, and you.
They're like the famous bars. Like, what's the other one?
He doesn't know me. He doesn't know that I'm boring, D-Ro.
Yeah.
So let's just go with it. Pretend like I'm a lot of fun.
He dated a beekeeper there while in college.
He was not a beekeeper.
He was a beekeeper.
Please, he stung himself with bees as an anti-inflammatory. Harrison, you get it. You're an athlete.
No, that makes perfect sense, actually.
Don't patronize.
Hey, Harrison, it was great. It was great catching up with you, man. Really good stuff. Safe travels. Hopefully you guys are back very, very soon. And we really appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Great to talk to you, and obviously be safe. So I'll see you guys around.
Hey, couple of quick programming notes. We've got the MLB The Show Players League preview special coming up. That's going to be on MLB Network tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. And then the playoffs on FS1 and ESPN throughout the weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So a lot to get to as we crown a champion. There's a whole trophy. You should see the trophy that the Players League champion gets, guys. It's unbelievable.